to get all the insight on Mutant TV.
Welcome back, MVP, as we continue Streebo's countdown of the top 50 horror films of the new millennium. Today we are going to talk to you about the film that used the tagline, "It's not a remake, it's not based on a Japanese one, and it's old school American horror." We are going to talk to you about Adam Green's Hatchet, with special effects by John Carl Buechler, king of the doing it as cheap as possible to give you as much bang for your buck for your gore and your blood and your effects and whatever you want. The guy that brought you Troll, the mastermind behind Friday the 13th Part 7, New Blood, aka Jason vs. Carrie. John Carl Buechler did the effects in this one. Hatchet is actually Adam Green's first horror film and first film period, and I thought it was pretty good. When it came out, it was given a very, very limited release across the country. But by that time, it had actually garnered a lot of fan support by playing the various the horror convention circuits. Unfortunately, for some reason, that support turned into hype, which in turn turned a lot of hardcore horror fans against Hatchet. But I enjoy it. I dig it. This is going to be a spoiler-filled review, so if you haven't seen it, I'm going to spoil it for you. But it's not really one of those kind of films that you learn the plot and learn what happens like it's going to ruin it for you, because it's not one of those. This is just kind of a old school slasher in the sense that it's, a group of guys, a group of girls, there's nudity, there's a crazed killer running around ripping them to pieces. That's the old school slasher aspect of it. I suppose some people were wanting something a little bit grimier, gorier, more, not gorier maybe, but grimier, dirtier, like an old, exploitation film or something. But Hatchet definitely wasn't that. It has very much a shiny veneer. Basically tells a story about a guy with his group of friends down in celebrating Mardi Gras down in Louisiana, New Orleans. He's heartbroken, so his buddies decide to take him on a special tour of the swamp. I forget if it had a special name to it or whatever. It's like the swamp haunted tour or something like that. But anyway, none of that's really important. All you have to know is this is a slasher flick for the guys. I'm not sure if it has any kind of crossover appeal for girls, because it's straight up, adolescent male fantasy fulfillment. It's filled with hot women that drop their tops, at a second's notice, and a gigantic, muscular monster that runs around ripping people's heads off, chopping them in half, and slinging body parts into trees. It's pure adolescent raging hormone catharsis. That's Hatchet. Okay. What I like about the film is I like the direction. For the most part, it just tells the story. It's nice and simple. A lot of people don't seem to realize that directing doesn't have to be fancy. Just telling the story is oftentimes more important than anything else. The movie is definitely one part black comedy, because for the first part of it, 30, 40 minutes or whatever, that's pretty much all there is just bad jokes between the different characters. When I first watched Hatchet, I really didn't like it. I didn't like the jokes. The sense of humor, it just seemed completely going in another direction from what I normally like. All the jokes felt pained and forced. It was just, I didn't really care for it. The movie picks up with the introduction of Hatchet Face, or whatever the killer's name is in it, because they introduce him as part of this local urban legend, the legend of Hatchet Face. Oh, Victor Crowley, that's his name. Victor Crowley, he was some deformed guy, deformed kid. He was persecuted and ran out to the swamps, blah blah blah. His house was burned down. Now he's killing people for revenge whenever they come through his part of the swamp. That's Victor Crowley. Nothing too terribly original there, but it's it's good fun, old school, angst free slashing and killing with a healthy dose of TNA to go along with it. The movie really takes off when Victor Crowley finally gets on screen and starts killing people and ripping them to pieces. And the movie doesn't have a single pixel of CGI in it. It's all old school effects. It's all latex and rubber and fake blood and and all those things. I mean, you see everything happen in Hatchet. That's what makes it so fun. You see, you know, mouths ripped apart, head torn apart at the mouth, you know, heads twist off, people hacked in half, you know, arms and limbs ripped off, people torn in half. Everything, all the way down the line. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes Hatchet work for me. And I will say that the acting, even though the characters, I didn't necessarily care for them all, though I believed in them. I cared about them. I actually, you know, I'm going to contradict myself. You know, I didn't care for their sense of humor, but I kind of, the characters grew on me. I started to like them by the end of the movie. You know, I wanted to see them, you know, either survive or die. And, you know, the black character was funny to me. He had all the stereotypical lines, but he also had some of the smartest ideas of, let's not go wandering through the swamp, let's stay here where it's safe, that kind of thing. But, you know, of course he didn't live. The black guy had to die. That's one of the great cliches of slasher films, I guess. And Hatchet isn't any different in that regard. But if you haven't seen it, I've spoiled it for you kind of, pretty much, but not really. I mean, it's a movie to be experienced and enjoyed. You know, the plot twists and turns aren't going to do anything for you. You have to kind of forgive it for the ending, because it kind of stops at a non-ending. You know, you can kind of guess what happens next, but they leave room open for a sequel. So, you know, it is what it is. I wouldn't mind seeing more from, you know, Hatchet 2 the next day or whatever. I would like to see it as an ongoing direct-to-DVD sequel. So, I give props to Hatchet. It's not a remake, and it's not based on a Japanese one. It's made by, you know, good old-fashioned American filmmakers with good old-fashioned effects. And if you dig that kind of stuff, you should check it out too. And that is why it made Streebo's list of the top 50 horror films of the new millennium at number 48. Hatchet.
And Mutantville, I'll be keeping my eye on you.